te whānau, no mai, haere mai, and welcome to episode 6 of the Up2 Podcast with your hosts, Jack and Morgan. Welcome back. We're really happy that you've come back and watching a new episode of ours, and I'm glad that you're back because we've got a very special guest with us today, the lovely Olivia, who is at Balanced Boss Babe on Instagram. She's got heaps of really cool tips to share. From what I've heard so far and what I've seen so far, I've been following her journey for a little while, and everything I've seen is so positive and so authentic. So we're really, really grateful to have you here today. And I'm sure you can share a whole lot of knowledge with us about all things positivity, self-love, and just all that good stuff. So warm welcome to you today. I just wanted to kind of go back a little bit in time and just learn a little bit about you, about your upbringing, where you've come from, and then we can get into what you're doing now. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you guys so much for having me on the show. I'm really keen to have this conversation, get into some real authentic chats with you about self-love, self-worth, and all the rest. So yeah, it's really awesome what you guys are doing and spreading the positive vibes, talking about mental health. It's so important. So yeah, really grateful for people like you that are providing that to everyone as well. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on. So yeah, my upbringing, I have been in Aotearoa my whole life, apart from I was actually born in the States, but I was moved straight over here, when I was a little one. I think I was only like 8 months old. And yeah, I've kind of lived in a few places. I lived in Dunedin for a while, lived in Oratea as well as we mentioned before, and spent a big part of my childhood actually in Taranaki by the beach, learned how to surf as a little young one. And that was really awesome because I built a really strong connection with nature and I just held on to that. Like, it's a huge part of me, and I really can't be too far from the ocean these days. Like, I live by Takapuna Beach now and the lake as well. So that's a huge connection and just keeps me calm. But yeah, I grew up in a beautiful family, lots of cousins, everything. And yeah, I've just been taught from a very young age that love is just the most important thing, and that is what wealth means, and that is what abundance is love, connections, that beautiful experiences in nature and everything. Because yeah, growing up, we didn't actually have a lot of money. We didn't have too much to go around. It was a bit tight sometimes, and I guess that partly gave me my drive as well because of that experience, and it really pushed me to follow my dreams and just make shit happen for myself. So I've always had that motivation from that experience, and just seeing my parents, show me that is awesome to have. Money's awesome to have, but it's also there's so much more to life than that. And that's just what the real beauty is of life, is that love and connection and experiences and memories. And so yeah, that's a bit about my upbringing. I did moved to Auckland after Taranaki, went to high school here in Auckland, and then went down to Massey and studied fashion and business in Wellington, which was awesome. That was quite a cool experience, like leaving Auckland by myself, just getting myself out of the comfort zone into the deep end, meeting new people. So that was an awesome journey. To stay there for 4 years, came back, got into fashion up here, and then things kind of changed as I started to go through a personal development journey and ended up, in the life coaching space where I'm at now. So that's kind of like the really succinct version of my life so far.
No, I love it. I love how we're like, tell us your whole life story and do it now sort of thing. But thank you for sharing. And it's cool that you talk about the importance of connection and stuff, because we're actually reflecting the other day going, what have we learnt from it's been like 100 days of lockdown now? And we were like, we don't miss any particular places. We miss the people, and we miss, actually having face-to-face connections, because when we have been able to socialize and stuff now, our cups are so full just from seeing people themselves. And we were like, wow, we actually realize how much we don't need to go out to certain places and spend a bunch of money or anything like that. It really is the people that matter. So that's cool that you've had an upbringing that really values that. I reckon that's the perfect way, the perfect kind of values to instill on your whānau. So that's super cool.
Hard.
that.
And I love that. It sounds like you've been around all over the place, eh? Been in Danas, Taranaki, all that. How was that like jumping around? Did you find like heaps of value in exploring like different parts of the country and being able to have that?
Yeah, just went a little bit glitchy there for a second,
I
but yeah,
got that too, eh? Yeah.
I did. I think that has made me grow so much as a person because I had to move schools so many times and just be in the deep end. I guess that gave me that confidence to just be like, okay, well, this is who I am. You either take it or leave it. And because I think when I moved from Taranaki, I was in my last year of primary school when I came to my final year in Auckland. And of course, that's always a bit scary. And then I moved once before that as well. And then obviously going from Auckland to Wellington, it's just like, wow, okay, I literally don't know anyone. I really have to put myself out there to meet new people and to, when I do find a nice connection with someone that I value and I think I could see a friendship blossoming from this, you've got to really put yourself out there to like ask someone for their number and ask someone, to like hang out sometime, which seems so weird because you're so used to just like meeting people, I guess, at high school or at work and university. And then once you leave university, you're kind of just like put back out there again and everyone goes off in their own journey. So for me, like that, the moving around and also I've done some travel overseas and stuff by myself, and all of those experiences made me grow so much as a person and just decide who I wanted to be and what kind of people, I wanted to surround myself with.
Yeah.
Dope.
Man, that's cool. I feel like it's kind of underrated how how much effort you have to put into making friends as an adult. Like if you haven't grown up here, or you're right, because you do make most of your friends at school or work, like that seems to kind of be the given. But I think it's really courageous kind of to go out, put yourself out there, even, asking people that you have a connection with, like, oh, can I have your number? Can we hang out? It seems like a bit of an awkward thing. But in reality, it's like that's kind of the only way to do it and to make friends and stuff. So good on you for putting yourself out there. I reckon that's pretty mean, eh? It's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And so fashion to now,
Thank you.
that's a bit of a change. How was studying fashion compared to what you're doing now? When did that shift kind of happen for you?
So because I guess I followed in my mum's footsteps. Like I grew up watching her study fashion as well. She was a student when I was in primary school, which was awesome and inspiring. And so I went through that journey, and I very quickly realized that the industry is really, really, it's hurting our planet. It's really sad. And they've made us watch like The True Cost and another documentary.
Wow.
I think it's called Blue River.
I don't know, my whānau, we just had a short break then because of the internet, the joys of living in Auckland with everyone on their computers at the same time.
Hard out.
But we'll just kick off where we left. I was just interested because fashion to where you are now seems like a big jump. How did you kind of make that transition into what you're doing now as opposed to because you went and studied it and stuff? How long was that? Like, what was that experience like?
Yeah, so I studied fashion for 4 years. Like I followed in my mum's footsteps. I grew up with her, studying fashion when I was in primary school, which was cool. It was inspiring. Was really wanting to go down that track. And then pretty much as soon as I got into it, they showed us this documentary, The True Cost, and another one called Blue River, I think it was called. And it was like I literally cried because it was really heartbreaking to see how toxic and polluting the fashion industry is and how workers are treated. And so I almost was like, okay, I can't do this. I can't be in this industry. But then I was like, all right, I'm going to continue with this if I can make a difference somehow. So I went down like the ethical fashion route. Cool. And straight after uni, I, started working on this ethical fashion rental platform with this other woman as well. And we went and partnered on that. And we're building that up for, 2 to 3 years. Can't remember exactly how long. And then, once it was up and running and everything, while I was working full time and all of the rest, I don't know, things just kind of started to feel out of alignment for me. And, when you are in partnership with someone else, like things can go you can have different visions for where this is going, and they were kind of separating, I guess. And I also had been on the grind for so long, from school to uni to full-time work plus starting a business and so many other things, and I was just exhausted. I was really just burnt out, and I was, I had kind of lost the passion. And I just decided, I made the really hard decision to actually stop with that, and I was just going to go off and do some travel. I got into a little bit of a bad place, like mentally, because it wasn't a really great breakup, like a business breakup. Things kind of got a little bit sour, which was really unfortunate. It was a really hard experience to go through. Obviously, I learned a lot, and I'm still so grateful for going through all of that, because I was able to reflect and really be proud of what we did create in that time together. But I was kind of, after that, I was like, all right, I don't really know what I want to do. I didn't really want to work in, fast fashion. As I said, it didn't really align with my values. And I went through this whole personal development journey. Like, I've always been interested in it, and like put time into, growing myself as a person and taking care of my mental health and emotional health. And I don't know, something just clicked. Like, I was about to go off on this OE and just figure out, like, I had a one-way ticket booked at the start of 2020 to, see where I ended up. And then that didn't happen, obviously, because, things started to ramp up with COVID, and then all of a sudden we're in lockdown, and it was just like, okay, what the hell are we doing? But I guess I did really use that time wisely to do that reflection on my past business experience. And I did a bunch of online courses, got into wellbeing courses, and then I was like, I actually really love this, and I can see myself doing this. And I felt really inspired, and something just clicked, and I was like, this is what I want to do. So that's when I went and did more study in neuro-linguistic programming. I did like a Tony Robbins coaching course, and all of these different courses to just learn. And I don't know, I just kind of went with that momentum, and I was starting to connect with my spiritual side as well a lot more, and getting a bit deeper into that. And I just started seeing all of the signs, like the angel numbers and things just kind of falling into place how they should. And I just could tell that I was on the right path. Like, my intuition was just like, yes. And I felt so much happier and lighter. And I always wanted to help, either, with in some way to do with the environment or to do with people and their mental health. So I guess my new kind of motto around what I do now is like, I want to help people heal, because then we can heal the world and all the climate issues. But it needs to start with us and our inner work first. So that's kind of how that sort of transitioned. And then I just started, as I was growing and learning, doing that education, I started doing women's circles to, create the community and just meet like-minded people in the industry as well and learn from them. And just kind of slowly started building that up. Took my hours down in my job that I was working at that time, which was textiles on Lord of the Rings, which was an interesting experience. And then I just slowly kind of whittled my hours down, and then just jumped into the deep end and went, I'm going all in on this.
Nice.
Wow, that's cool.
And I love that. And it seems like kind of the best like life experiences come from when there is a time that's really tough, like a time where you're kind of searching, you're kind of like, who am I? What am I doing? In terms of, working in the fashion industry, you're kind of like, this doesn't sit like ethically right with me. And I completely agree. I've seen those documentaries as well. And man, they are sad. Like, the fast fashion industry is just like nuts. And I feel like everything's getting cheaper and cheaper, but it's like, that cost of, what you're buying is not nearly enough as the labor that's put into it. So I think that's really cool that you've been able to recognize that and be like, actually, no, this doesn't sit right with me. I want to do something and changing the world by changing yourselves. I think that's super inspiring. Do you want to talk a little bit more about your women's circles and, like the workshops and stuff that you've got going? Because I think there's more of a need for that now more than ever. Because we were talking about today in terms of positivity on social media. We see your account as such a positive page. Did you want to touch on that? Or how?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, like we were discussing, and we were like, Instagram and social. Let's use the term social media. Social media has so many positives to it, but then again has so many negatives. And I think because we were discussing how your account kind of you know, it helps balance out that, and you can get that positive vibe from it, and you can always sense that. But yeah, we were just like, this is actually that. This is mean that that. Oh fuck! Sorry. I mean, shucks. I've lost my train of thought. Oh god.
That's all right. We can pick up from
there. Yeah. Nah. Sorry. I just legit dropped off. You know, when it just. I hate it when it does that. You just like have a thought. You're in the middle of a boom, gone.
It always happens to us when we're facilitating, like because we're youth workers, we're facilitating, we'll be in a class, and then we just completely forget what we're saying. But that's what being human's all about. So it's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but yeah, we can go back to your women's circles and stuff like that, because I'm kind of like, what don't you do? And you also dance and you run those programs. Like, do you want to talk us through kind of what those spaces are about?
Yeah, definitely. So the women's circles are, you know, just like regular events where we get together. I'd hold them down. If it's a nice day, we do it outside in nature down by Lake Papuki. But I also have a little space that I hire out there, which still looks out over the lake. So it's, a beautiful spot. And we just connect together, and there's like a different theme each time we have a circle. So there may be one on self-love, and we will, you know, go around, and I have a few prompts that we kind of go through and talk to and share our experiences. And when it's all about just being open and vulnerable and having those real conversations, and we do a little bit of journaling, a bit of meditation sometimes. It definitely, it's just kind of a mixture of everything. Sometimes we do like a full moon ceremony or a new moon ceremony as well, which is really beautiful. And it's just like bringing together women and talking about some real shit. And a lot of what people get out of it is just like that feeling of comfort when they hear someone else share their experience, and they're like, wow, yes, like I resonate with that so much. Like I've been through that. And it's really nice because everyone just realizes that what they're going through is, you know, a lot of people are going through the same thing, and then they're not like alone. They don't have to beat themselves up about, you know, having those thoughts or having those feelings. And it just creates a really nice, like empowered feeling after getting together and hearing those stories. And it's beautiful. So that's what we do, you know, once a month. And then, I also do some dance classes, which are all about self-love, feminine embodiment, like getting in touch with that sensual side, because a lot of women have a lot of shame attached to that. And it just sucks because, you know, our bodies don't need to be like sexualized in that way, but, you know, you can love yourself and you can, you know, express yourself in that way and, you know, allow your radiance to shine. And it doesn't need to be like, oh, she is, you know, too up herself, or she is, you know, too provocative or whatever. It's just like she's just enjoying herself and living. And it's just when you are in that empowered state as a woman, like you can get so much more out of your life, and you're just confident to go after like that pay rise or something, for example, and, you know, to set boundaries when it comes to relationships. And so tapping into that, you know, energy throughout those dance classes is really powerful, because you can just sort of get out of your mind as well, get out of the busy thoughts, and just get into your body and feel and like express your emotions, move any tension out of your body through movement, which is such a healing process. And it's just a judgment-free zone. Like it's not, we do a bit of choreography, but it's not about being perfect. It's just about expressing. Every class is a bit different. It's got a different vibe. Sometimes we'll go a bit slower, a little bit more moody, and then we'll do something super sassy and like get that boss bitch energy coming through. So that's kind of the community stuff I do. And then of course like one-on-ones as well, like getting a bit more specific into like the trauma work and going back into past experiences, and all of that mindset stuff as well.
That's mean. That's mean, because what I'm hearing, like from what you were saying then, it sounds like what you're doing is opening up and offering a space for women to come to and to connect, and to, you know, like you said, not feel alone, and understand that there are people out there that would be keen to talk about stuff like that. Because I even know for myself, like if I go through something, you know, that is not too mean and I want to talk to someone, it can actually be like embarrassing to potentially talk to your best mate. Or for me, like I might find hesitancy in that, but I think what's so awesome about your mahi is that you're normalizing that process of connecting with others and understanding that you ain't alone in this and that there are people to help you. And another thing that I took away from that was like, it also sounds like, and I mean, in our mahi, we kind of do talk and look into a lot of the things in terms of just stereotypes, men and women stereotypes. And I find that what's happening with our generation is, you're getting a massive community of people coming through that are so keen to break that cycle of those stereotypes and not let them, guide somebody's behavior in a society just because you want to live up to the standards of society and things like that. So I find that awesome that you're able to open up that space and create that movement, for other women out there. That's gangster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely I definitely resonate with what you just said around, people feeling like they have to follow this traditional roadmap of life and success and wealth and, having kids by this age, getting a house by this age, getting married, blah, blah, blah. And it just builds up so much pressure for everyone, and especially with social media as well, seeing everyone's wins every single day and this perfect, fragment of reality, which is just like a curation of their highlight reel is... it's hard to not compare yourself, and a lot of people struggle with that. And, you really need to come back to what you're doing and what your, values are and what you want to do with your life, where you want to head, what kind of relationships you want to have and all of that, and tune into what you really want so you don't feel the need to be looking at what everyone else is up to all the time and constantly comparing yourself, because you're just going to constantly feel like shit. And that's like really living in that scarcity mindset when you're constantly thinking like, I don't have enough, and you're lacking, and you choose to see like minimal opportunities rather than, all the abundance, and being grateful for everything that you do have in your life and what you have learned and what you have overcome and what, potential opportunities are in your path. It's just all about being really intentional about where you focus your energy and what you do focus on, because what you focus on, that's where energy flows into. And
hard. I got something just to add on. Totally. Where energy goes, energy flow.
Attention goes, energy flows.
That's it. And like I totally reckon that's the case. Hey, because like, some people who may be unhappy with life or how things are going and maybe just how things are playing out, whether that's small or big, if you've kind of like, this is how I see things, like if you've been stuck in a way of living and a way of being, like, then your normal is to get bad vibes or have negative energy coming into your home, because that's what you're kind of radiating, whether that's conscious or subconscious. But I also find that, talking to people that like have broken that cycle, it's taken loads to do that, and like breaking that pattern within, because you there's comfort in your norm, like whatever your normal is to yourself, and however you perceive that is comfortable. And so to jump into the unknown is uncomfortable and potentially quite scary. But I kind of back in like 2018, I decided to do like a massive life shift on just kind of how I view things, how I do stuff, and how I talk to myself, talk to others. And it was pretty buzzy at the start, like for sure was a bit out of it and was out of my norm. But what I found was that by sort of breaking free from the shackles of society's, ways, it was so freeing. And like at the same time of it being freeing, it was also really empowering. And then like also gave me more comfort in being just who I want to be, talk however I want to talk, just do the things that I love that fill my cup. Because if I was stuck in those old ways, then I would have just been like slowly releasing the tap on my cup and just, like getting tiny little water droplets to get that back up. So I can't really, I was just adding on to that because it's cool that you're providing that space to help enable those sort of actions for people.
It's awesome to hear that you've like gone through that realization and experience as well. And hopefully we can inspire others to, open their mind to going down a different, unique path as well that suits them.
Yeah.
Hard.
I was just going to ask before, do you reckon it's because I'm thinking about in terms of self-love, for myself, I've kind of only started to get there now, and I'm 28. Do you see an age do you notice things within age groups that with the women that you work with? Are you getting clients through that are in their 20s, or are they older or younger, or do you see a difference in their mindset? I wonder if age has a factor into it.
It's actually a mixture. So I do have a few clients that are, around the same age as me, like mid-20s, few that are, in their early 30s as well. And then I have had a couple that are a little bit older. I'm not sure exactly the age, but, they've got kids. And so it doesn't really matter what your age is. And it's totally what you have been allowing yourself to be exposed to and how much effort you've put into your mindset work, or what life experiences you've had and how you've lived your life. Because, I did have one woman that came to my women's circle, and she, I think she was in her 50s or something like that. And she had just divorced from her partner, who had been, cheating on her, and she had just been shrinking herself as a person for like this huge portion of her life. And then, after that, she was obviously, completely heartbroken and hurt. And that's when, as we mentioned earlier, when you do go through those struggles, that's when you grow, and that's when you figure out, okay, I need to sort out what's going on in my mind up here and take care of myself, because, you need to, and you're not going to grow if you don't. You're just going to stay in like your little pity party. But you have to take action to actually do that, and it isn't always easy. And a lot of the time people just try to shove it under the rug and pretend like it's not there, but like all those emotions do store up in your body as muscle tension, as digestive issues, and it can play out in different areas of your life and how you are in relationships. But I think it is like, if you have had like a cushy life, everything's just kind of worked out for you, and you've maybe had things handed to you on a platter, then you probably will be really oblivious to all of that until something like, until shit hits the fan. And then you're like, okay, wow, this is life. This is something that I have to deal with and go through and grow through. But, some people don't get those experiences until really late in life. So it definitely depends on what you go through and how quickly, you do have to work through a struggle to gain that strength.
Yeah,
for sure.
And cool that, a woman in her 50s was able to, again, recognize that and want to do something about it, and then come to see you and the rest of your group and put herself out there. Because I can't imagine it's easy. Even rocking up to the first session could kind of be like a little bit nerve-wracking. I'm sure people do feel that. You're really good at putting people at ease, and I'm sure the rest of the group are too. But that first initial step to take in, do you see a massive kind of transformation within themselves from when they first come to when they leave, or is it amazing to watch?
Yeah, 100%. Like, so many women first message me before they come, and they're like, oh, I'm really keen to come along, but I don't really have anyone to come with. And I'm just like, who cares? Like, come by yourself. Like, most people come by themselves, and it's the same with my dance classes. But it's like, most people do come by themselves, and once they get there, it's just like that first kind of time where you don't know what it's going to be like and what the vibe's going to be, can be totally nerve-wracking. But once they do get there and they open up, and then they see that everyone has those similar experiences, they just fully just settle into it and just allow themselves to be present and to share vulnerably, and just get into it. So it's awesome. And I have seen such a huge impact and mindset shift in some of these women, and after a few of these women's circles. So they're so powerful, and it's just it's really beautiful to watch. It is.
It must be like a proud moment for you as well, because while it's transforming inside themselves, you've created that space, and obviously and we know as facilitators as well, you've got to create a safe space, and that is up to the facilitator, even though it's not you directly making the changes, because it's up to everyone, but you've also got to lead those conversations and put people at ease that haven't been there before. So that's credit to you as well, that you're able to bring the kind of power out of people. I think that's that's awesome.
And I want to just add on to our conversation just a few minutes ago, where we were talking about sort of like the the power, well, this is what I was kind of getting from it. And it's like, what I'm seeing nowadays is like, I feel as though society is taking a turn in the sense that, I hope this is the right terminology, but that like more power is getting given back to like females from what it was like back in the day, right? So, now I got it. So when we were talking about your client who was in like her 50s and stuff, what came to mind was like, shucks, and she would have been brought up in that type of society that was so male like driven. And it was like, I bet every bloody like boss of any company back then was only male. And I mean, like, that's even still a major percentage today. Hey, but I was thinking, like, I read this thing about Egypt, and that back like hundreds of, I don't know, maybe even thousands of years ago, Egypt were like, they would always put women on a higher pedestal than men. And like, to me, I'm like, I'm with that, because I honestly reckon, like, you know, females are so powerful. You guys hold the portal to the spirit world, you know, and that's sort of a way that the Egyptians looked at it as well. And gosh, even like world leaders who are women, like, you know, look at Jacinda, like, does so well at comforting and kind of almost being like New Zealand or Aotearoa's mum, in that sense, like, no, we'll be fine, But, you know, you've got other presidents, prime ministers around the world, and like, yeah,
strong female leaders.
And I honestly reckon that if majority of like the leaders out there in the world today were women, oh gosh, it like would be so much better. I genuinely think society would be way better off, because I feel like women they have that ability to just, that I think a bit, maybe not from all men, but like compared to most men, have that ability to really tap into that like humanitarian need that society lacks when it's really male driven, to me, because it's just about like fucking like results, numbers, like things like that. But I find that women hold that more humanitarian side, and I love like seeing my male friends as well tap into their feminine energy. Like, that's one thing I like to sort of, I feel proud about myself. I claim it. Like, I'm totally in touch with my feminine energy. I mean, like, I got my nails painted. They need to get redone though. Kind of keen on a little like teal stuff. But you know, like, yeah, I honestly reckon that, yeah, if more, like, I would love to see more men tap into their feminine energy, because like, it's a really beautiful thing. And to, yeah, I just think, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I just love this whakaaro and love this type of topic, because it would be such an awesome thing to see that shift. And I genuinely reckon it is starting, especially our generation are pushing that hundies.
Yeah. It definitely is. And I've had quite a few conversations around this recently. So it's so interesting that it keeps on coming up. Because, yeah, I think like the world has been in this really unempowered masculine state for so long, where it's just like work all the time, like driven for, you know, that financial success, and, you know, doing anything to get that, and not caring about the environment, or not caring about other people or people's mental health,
emotional capacities and shit like that.
Yeah, it's just like there's no significance given to that side of us that we all have, because we are humans and we're not robots. And we've been lacking that feminine energy, like you said, for so long. And when we do talk about masculine, feminine energy, I want to make sure that like people understand that when I talk about masculine energy, I'm not just talking about men, because as a woman, like, I have masculine energy too. As a man, you have feminine energy too. And, you know, it is really important to embrace both sides, because they both have their strengths, but there are also like the empowered and divine sides of that energy, and the disempowered side as well. And yeah, we have been in this very masculine go state for a long time. The world is craving more of that feminine energy, because without it, like without the ability to feel, to empathize, to create life, like, we're killing our planet and ourselves by driving ourselves into the ground, not allowing space for creativity, for that connection with nature, to embrace our emotions, and to just live, you know, like to actually just live and be. Because like the masculine is all about doing, taking action, giving, which is awesome. And then there's the feminine side, which is about being, receiving, and just, being creative, flowing through life a little bit more, not having to be in the same strict thing every single day. And when we start to reconnect with that, like we have been, you know, we're seeing more and more, you know, businesses starting to support, you know, preserving our beautiful planet that we are so lucky to live on. And
I don't know, the eco clothing and all that coming out nowadays, like seeing loads of hemp stuff, Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, so like loads of hemp stuff too.
The packaging and stuff, it's awesome. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, we all still have so much work to do within ourselves, and like it does, I think, like the key foundations to, you know, making a big change with that and having like empowered females rise up is, you know, them working on their self-love and their self-worth, to be able to feel like they can actually go after those dreams that they have, and they are worthy of, you know, that high paying job or that leadership role, of that pay rise, whatever it is. And it's not trying to be perfect, because I think, you know, when we're growing up and we're being conditioned that we have to be this perfect woman to get up into those higher roles, and it's really not true. Like, you really don't. And people want to be able to relate to someone as well, and I think that's what a really good true leader is having that like approachability and that ability to kind of connect with someone. And I think so self-love, the self-worth is so important, and also just supporting each other, because a lot of the time, like, women can be really competitive with each other, and I've experienced this a lot throughout my life, and it is really hard, and it does, like, you know, break my heart sometimes when I see it happen again. It's just like when certain women start to rise and start to step into their confidence and, you know, express themselves and tap into that like sensual side as well, a lot of that brings out a lot of insecurities in other people, and they tend to, I guess, like try to bring that person down subconsciously. Like, they're not always really aware of what they're doing, but like that jealousy comes out and, you know, affects relationships, and it just makes those women who are rising up just kind of feel shit. And then, like, I've personally experienced that. I've talked to so many other women who have experienced that. Rather than just being supportive and celebrating each other and using those people who do, you know, put in that work to do that for themselves as inspiration and proof that you can do that and things are going to be all good, and you don't have to experience all this judgment from other people, because most of the time what you do experience is love from other people, and people are like, this is awesome. Most of the time.
And I reckon as well, like, when people understand that by like dissing somebody else on their progress, like, again, comes back to that, like, where attention goes, energy flows kind of you know, kind of saying, because like you're probably just going to diminish your own thing that you got going on, and like by like backing someone else and just like letting go of your ego in the sense of like lifting someone up, hey, like you're probably going to attract even more to you. And as you were saying that, I was thinking as well, like, I started thinking about toxic masculinity and sort of like how that's come about. And then hearing you say, you know, other females being quite competitive or putting other females down when they see progress, it's like, I was thinking, damn, and like on the other side of that, it's a stink side, but on the other side of that, it's like men were like being like, you know, they have toxic masculinity, and they're getting like, oh yeah, good on you, mate, you tell her kind of buzz, you know, like from their other mates. So they're getting their negative energy or their negative way of treating females, that's just getting reaffirmed and boosted, and it's like, oh shucks, like
that's so true though. Like even with the females in competition thing, like I can guarantee all of my friends have experienced this, and I'm guilty of it. I've definitely done it before, where my immediate reaction, like I'll be watching something on telly and a female will do something and I'll go, oh God, that's annoying. And then if a male does it, I kind of let it go. And I'm like, oh, that's because I'm insecure because she's a super babe. And that makes, you know, I want to talk her down in my head so that it makes me feel better about myself by calling her annoying when she's really not. But then I noticed that when a guy did the same thing, that's not competition to me. So I just immediately just let that go and think that's okay. And it's like that, that's such a common trait. And I've seen it time and time through, like, as you were speaking about, I'm sure we can all relate, like just hearing the comments and you're like, you don't even know this person. Like, what are you doing? And you're so right. It definitely is an insecurity kind of mirroring and trying to talk them down in order to boost you up. Yeah. And I just think kind of putting it out in the open and being like, okay, let's actually talk about this can make a huge change. It's like, that's the first step. So we start recognizing it within ourselves and within other people. Yeah. So maybe if other people do start saying unnecessary comments, or you can tell that they're, you know, like shaming someone just because they're super cool or super good looking or whatever it is, kind of just being that reminder and being like, hey, you don't know this person. I think it's kind of unfair that you've said this. Like let's talk about why you're feeling like that. Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like too easy to judge. Yeah. That's the thing as well. And like everyone judges, like everyone has those judgmental thoughts that come in, but it's what you do with it, And it's like, that's one thing we always try to do in our youth work with young people and stuff, like especially young people, classic. Oh my gosh, even when I was young, I was like the biggest judger. Oh man. But like learning that gives no value, and you may think it's giving yourself some value by judging that person and your mate cracking up, but like deep down your bro probably thinks that you're whack by doing that, because it's just like they're just gonna laugh just cause, and it's like you're your mate. But yeah, man, I love talking about this, because I feel like it's something that just needs to be spoken about more, and needs to be brought up. Like even with my own mates, I think I could probably do a bit more work on introducing it more into their life in terms of like just new ways of thinking and things like that. Although I think my bros are pretty good.
Yeah,
they're pretty good. But
it's also like you can't, you don't want to put too much of your own energy into trying to force things on other people as well. Like
totally.
I years ago tried to kind of do that and be like, oh, I'm doing this personal development, like it's amazing, you need to get into it, and people are like, oh, shut up. So they will go through that and get their moment of enlightenment and go through a struggle and find that kind of growth journey on their own, and that's just, you just kind of got to leave them to it. And in the meantime, it's like the main thing is just like stay in your high vibe energy, like doing what's best for you, living your life, not letting other people's like judgment or anything, get you down, and to stay strong with who you are. And that's easier to do when you do know like your core values, what your core beliefs are, who you want to be, what you want to do. Like it's easier to be like, this is who I am, and be confident in that. But if you're wishy-washy and you don't know, you don't put time and energy to actually figure that out, and you're just coasting through life, and I guess going down the path you think you should, then you're constantly going to be comparing yourself to other people. So the main thing is just like focusing on putting time and energy and love into yourself, and doing that inner work, making sure you do set healthy boundaries with other people as well. So like you can, you're not always people pleasing or being a sheep and following everyone else. You're like prioritizing your energy, and not losing yourself in relationships. That's a big thing I see is, it does, I've seen guys do it too, but most of the time it is girls again, like when they get into a relationship and, daddy issues can definitely come into this. Like, I grew up with a beautiful stepdad, but like my biological dad, I never had a connection with. And like, I think probably without my stepdad and having that love from him, I would have felt really deprived, obviously, like that, kind of abandonment issue. And that plays out constantly throughout your life until you like heal those past experiences from childhood. And then, people will strive and want that male attention because they never got it growing up. And then they will just kind of put all of their own things aside to slot into someone else's life and to do what suits them when it suits them. And then if, the relationship ends and then they've kind of, haven't put in love and energy into their other relationships or what they want, then that's why they end up leaving feeling so empty. And
probably just doing the same cycle again after that. Hey, jumping back in and potentially carrying on that,
that cycle just continues to go around until you stop and figure out, okay, what do I need to learn from this, and what can I do to improve my own responsibilities and relationships, or how I treat people. What can I do and have self-awareness and take personal responsibility for improving yourself as a person, and not constantly blaming issues on other people. And you're just looking at this one-sided thing. It's so important to like zoom out, look at the big picture, taking that personal responsibility and calling yourself out for your own bullshit is self-love as well.
Totally.
Like self-love isn't just, loving and accepting yourself for who you are now. It is also, of course it is that, but it's also, wanting to improve yourself as a person and investing time, energy, money into your growth, and having discipline to gift your future self what you want and those relationships that you want or whatever.
Yeah. Because I'd love to actually, I'm going to jump to this in a sec. What you just said at the end there just reminded me of what I saw in one of Raniera's podcasts is he was saying that, and I think this speaks to that self-love and self-care towards yourself, where it's like, acknowledge the pretty things, but also acknowledge that sometimes you could be a dickhead, and by owning that. But I think one thing, for me, this has had a profound impact, and I think the same for you. But when Raniera was saying, we are the ancestors of our of the generations yet to come, you know what I mean? And when I heard that, I was like, sharks. And then it was just like, wow. So yeah, that can be another reason to be the best version of yourself, because the ancestors that we talk of, we're going to be them one day. So leave that legacy for your story to be told, and for others and your grandkids and greats to go far. Yeah. Great Kuro Jack was pretty cool. Olivia was pretty ace in this thing. And so, I wanted to say that. And then the other thing was, come back to me. Come on, universe, give it to me. Was that, so I'd love to just quickly talk about, if someone was listening to this, right, and they wanted to start that journey of bettering themselves and doing all of those sort of things to fill their cup up more, make that just enables them to be the better version. For someone like you, what would be some of your input on that? What would you say for somebody that is just nah, I'm ready to make the change, I want to change some things up? What could be some sort of first steps that they could take for that?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely got so many, so I'll try, I'll give a few and not ramble on too much. But definitely, you need to create intentional space to do the work. You can't just be like, okay, I'm going to love myself now, and to say that, and read yourself an affirmation in the morning and think that you're going to have this completely changed mindset. You do really need to put effort in, and a lot of the time you might need to go back and to past experiences that led to those feelings of unworthiness, or I'm not good enough, which could be your teacher telling you something in primary school, or the way your parents gave you love and affection, or didn't give you love and affection or support throughout your childhood. You do need to go back to the root cause to start. But obviously that is really hard, and for someone by themselves it can be really tricky. So yeah, if you don't want to work with a coach to go through doing that, then I would definitely recommend going through and doing some deep journaling and try to figure out what core beliefs are coming up every single day for me. Say if you were going to go out on a first date, tune into what is actually going on in your head and see what comes up. A lot of the time you don't really consciously realize the kind of things that you're saying to yourself in your head, but it can be really confronting when you actually listen to it. And it can be really mean. A lot of people say, they have a lot of doubts going on up there. So tune in to figure out what's coming up, and then what is the core belief behind those stories? Is it I'm not worthy? Is it I'm not good enough? Or whatever is coming up, try to figure out what the core belief is there, and then think about what kind of experiences through my life have actually led to that feeling. What gave me that evidence to make me feel like I am unworthy, and see if you can try come up with a new empowering meaning to, empower yourself, or a new learning that you can apply to that, or how did that experience make you grow or become the person that you are today, or what opportunity did that open to you, and put it into a positive light. That's kind of what I do at a subconscious level with my NLP coaching using timeline therapy. But you can start that process by yourself through journaling, and then when you want to go deep into it, then you can go and talk to someone. But also really it's so important to put in boundaries within relationships. If you've got some goals you want to work towards, you need to set a time and a meeting for yourself. I like to plan my weeks ahead in advance, not in a strict way, just I set my intentions. I've got a few things that I want to get done, and I block out time for me. I block out time for mindfulness, or going for a walk, and self-love. And I treat that like a meeting like I would with someone else, because a lot of the time when you've got an expectation on you from someone else, like a boss, or you're doing a favor for someone in your family, you're going to put in all of the effort not to disappoint them. But when it comes to yourself, a lot of people just don't care. They're just like, oh, it's okay, I can just keep on disappointing, I'll just come back to that later. But you wouldn't do that to someone else, so don't do it to yourself. Like, put it in your diary. Cool. Make that time. And yeah, there's so much, but like, put yourself out there, out of your comfort zone. Start to, try new things to build up your confidence, meet new people that actually inspire you and lift you up and encourage you, rather than, like, you can tell, like, when you're in a group or around certain people, like the kind of energy or how you leave feeling after talking with someone. Do you feel energized or do you feel drained and insecure? Like, tune into those feelings and pick wisely around, like, who you surround yourself. And that's a few tips.
Oh, those are so good. And you said you've got so many and you don't want to ramble, but I'm like, ramble away. These are so insightful, because you're so right. Like, you're bang on with all of them. Because even I'm just thinking for myself, I'm like, I am so committed to meetings, like I'll really make the time for them and be like, okay, cool, we've got a meeting on. Like, if it's to do with mahi or whatever, I will never miss a meeting. But then for myself, I'm like, I can really put off my self-care and stuff, because I'm like, oh, well, I'll just get around to that when I have the time. But it's actually about making the time, and going, okay. And I think people can get confused sometimes, because when we talk about self-love and self-care, and maybe this is my experience in schools and things, but when we talk about that, they're kind of like, oh, so you mean like have a bath? And it's like, yes, I mean, that can be a form of self-love and self-care for sure, but let's go like a little bit deeper. Let's look at the ways that you can do it within your mind and changing your mindset and shifting it up a little bit, rather than just the practical things. Like, everyone loves to wash their hair and paint their nails and, that sort of stuff. It's like, that's really cool on the surface, but to get a little bit deeper as well, which is what you're talking about, I'm like, that's the stuff that should be considered as self-care and self-love, because that's so important. So just awesome tips. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it is so important to bring light to that, because when we go on Instagram, and like, if you are following a lot of the positive pages, like, you'll see those posts where it's just like, here's like 5 self-care ideas, and it's just like, like, do a face mask and paint your nails and whatever, which is so nice, and it does make you feel like you're a little bit luxurious for a while. But it is actually so much deeper than that, and it's like allowing yourself to have a good cry, like, if you need as well, or go and have a scream in a forest and like let out some tension and process and move stuff through you, so it's not storing.
1000%. I really wanted to mention that before, was like, when I was talking about the toxic masculinity, is like, I this is something I always tell my young people too, that we facilitate, is like, bro, if you ever need to cry, like, let that shit out, man, because like, that will store up and it will come out another way, potentially anger, if you lead to that sort of, those sort of behaviors, like, most of the time or whatever. But for me, I probably have a cry, like, I could easily say at least once a month for every month of the year. Like, that's the minimal, and it like might be a happy cry, could be a really sad cry, or whatever cry. But I think it's just, and like, even if you feel the need to do a cry and like that howly kind of cry, that's like the next level, just own it.
There's
and
just
like
more energy coming out.
Just own it. And like, and I can totally understand though, for some people, some people who may, you might live in a household with 4 others and you don't really want to, the bros too, but hey, jump in the car, even if they come running after you and you're like, no, I'm all good, just leave me for now. Like, you'll be able to get back, you'll be able to tell them, but it's just so important. And I actually would say, I think that even if you do live in a household where you don't want to cry in front of them, bro, have a cry, and just it's pure emotion that's going to come out, and I hope, and I would really, I'd imagine that you'll get met with love and support and some cuddles, hopefully, because that would be really ace. But heart out, come on, boys, cry, straight up, cry.
Definitely, and girls think it is attractive as well. You guys can connect with that side, don't they? Like,
love.
Boom, there you go, fellas.
I'm like, if he's cried without me, I'm like he'll be like watching a sad movie or something and I won't be there, and then he's like, that made me cry, and I'm like, I missed it. I was like, how did I miss you crying? Like, that would have been such a beautiful, vulnerable moment, and we just like want to look after them, because I cry honestly at everything, because it's my energy release. I'll feel it welling up, and then I'm like, okay, I need to do it, and it's come to the point in my head now where I'm like, it's sort of like to tick a box in a way. I'm like, okay, why am I still feeling shit? Oh, that's right, I need to cry now. And then I can kind of like cry on demand. But once I'm finished, I'm like, oh, that's all I needed. Like you
feel
just
the weight
feel,
lifted, eh?
yeah, you just feel that relief, and you're like, oh, this is actually so healing and so powerful. But it is, you know, historically, it's kind of been shamed, especially for our male community, which is just whack. It's like we all can cry. We've got tears.
I honestly like saw my dad like cry. I've only seen my dad cry a very select few times. But saw him cry when he got remarried, and at my 21st, and like that made me just like look at him in another light, and I was like, gee, you're the man. Like, oh, you're crying because of me, like, oh, da. But you know, it was just so cool to see that. And like, even as me as a young fella, I wouldn't back, you know, my parents split real young, jumping from house to house. At mum's, totally would feel meant to cry. Like at dad's, I think it's not because of him at all. He would be so sweet if I cried, but I think it was just more like, I don't want to let him down, or don't want him to have a sense of like, you know, weakness from me or something like that. And I remember when I saw him cry, I was just like, oh shucks.
Oh, that's so cute. I absolutely love that. And I definitely know the feeling, like if you are in a house with a bunch of people and you don't want people to be like, what the hell's going on in there? You know, you can also, you know, there are other ways to move through emotion as well. If you do not feel comfortable, at least you can get it out in some way, like going for a run or going and doing a kickboxing class or something to just like move through that, or dance or sing, whatever, to move that through you. And there are so many beautiful ways that you can do it, and it doesn't have to be channeled into aggression and letting that come out when you're drunk, you know, on a night out, fighting with other guys. Because that is something that's not attractive to women. So, guys, if you're a fighter, turn into a lover.
Yo, hard out.
Yeah, and the more people that are like allowing themselves to open up and be vulnerable, then that'll make a huge change. Like the ripple effect of that. Like you openly talking about that as a man and how you cry is so beautiful, because guys will listen to this and feel like they can too, and you know, then they might inspire someone else. So yeah, these conversations are so cool.
It's true, right? Like that. And we've never, well, I think we've met in person before, but can't really remember, a bit blurry. But even just having a conversation with someone that's somewhat of a stranger, you know, like we've seen each other's Instagrams and stuff, and I've been following you for a while, but never actually hung out or anything like that. If we're able to have these conversations, man, have them with your friends, have them with your whānau. Like if you're comfortable with them enough, if we're comfortable enough to have a conversation with somebody that we've never like hung out with in person, come on. Like I know it's a hard thing to do. Like, and I totally get it. And there are definitely, I think we've spoken about it before, where you've got certain friends for certain kind of needs. Like, you know, the friend that you don't want to go to them because you know that you're going to be met with just like, what are you up to sort of thing. Maybe not the right person to go to when you're feeling upset. But finding those people within your friends group and within your whānau are so important. And to start having these conversations, because I'm seeing a positive change on Instagram now in terms of people are talking about mental health, and people are talking about being vulnerable and just being real, authentic humans. Like you said, we're not robots. Like it's just so nice to see this kind of side come out from people. So yeah, I'm just stoked that we got to have this chat today. I know that we're getting to time now, so we might need to wrap it up, but I know you've already given us top tips, but is there anything what you want to add, or any messages you really want to get across? Any top tips, any golden gems, anything that you find really valuable that's helped you that may help others?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of, I'll try and keep it into like self-love and self-worth, because I know we've covered like so many different things. But yeah, I just think when it comes to, you know, going through this new process of, you know, personal development and getting in touch with your emotions, I think emotional intelligence is one of like the key things to like being able to withstand like the crazy roller coaster of life, you know, the ups and downs, and be able to keep on going through everything when shit does get hard. Try to, like, when emotion comes up, to actually question, like, okay, first of all, what is this emotion that I'm experiencing? And then to ask yourself, where has this triggered, what has triggered me to feel this emotion? Because a lot of the time, you know, it could be a situation, an environment you're in, something someone said that reminded you of something in the past where, you know, where you were hurt, or your boundaries were disrespected, or you felt unsafe in some way. get curious about what your triggers are. Like, just peel back the layers until you get a little bit more clarity and figure out, what happened, where that's coming from. Do you need to change your perspective on this and zoom out and look at like the bigger picture? Do you need to change your communication with other people, like the way you implement your boundaries, or you just talk to people in your communication? Or do you need to just simply, like, if you're just sad, you're not really sure why, maybe you're just emotional because you're on your period or something, and you can't figure out any trigger, like, then it may be changing your state. So doing something that you can bring you out of that kind of lower state, listen to some nice music that makes you feel good, eat some good food, go for a swim to feel refreshed. So I think that's kind of the main tip I wanted to give, was just around that how to look at your emotions a little bit more, and figure out whether it's you need to change your perception, you need to change your procedure, like the way you communicate, or you need to change your state some way. So hopefully that helps anyone that needs it. And this has been really, really awesome. I've loved this conversation so much, and we need to change the fact that we haven't actually hung out in person, and we can catch up after all of this.
Well, we're coming to your pool to drink champagne by your pool. I've already decided. But thank you so much. Like, honestly, it's you're like a breath of fresh air. It's really lovely to connect with people that have like a really similar mind view and have the same values as we do. And it's really cool to see more and more people, like I said, out there, really wanting to do personal development for themselves, but also impacting others. I think that's the main thing, because some people just need a bit more support, and people that have kind of, we're never going to have it perfect, but us that have it a bit together can really help those that need a bit of guidance. So just massive thank you to you for taking time today to chat with us. We love all your content. So where should we find you? What platforms are you on?
Mainly hang out on Instagram. So it's balance_boss_babe. And I do have like a Facebook community group as well, where like it's for the women's circles, where I talk about when events are coming up. So that's in the link in my bio. Plus, like, my website is balancebossbabe.com, which has the different offerings, like coaching offerings and courses and everything to get involved with. So I'd love to connect with everyone if they want to catch up and send me a DM sometime. Love that.
Hard out. Cool. Go through whānau, go hit up Balance Boss Babe on Instagram and get amongst it. Full show. But just for me, big mihi, thank you very much for coming on. It's been awesome. I've taken away some golden gems. I'm sure others would have taken some away as well. But just really looking forward to catching up sometime when restrictions drop a bit more and things like that. But thanks heaps for coming on today, and hope you have an amazing rest of your day, rest of your week.
You too, guys.
Enjoy that sunshine. Okay, cool. Well, that is us. So thank you again if you've gotten this far. Thank you. Sorry about the glitch in between. That's out of our control. It's just the universe telling us to pause for a second. But really appreciate everyone for watching this. Really appreciate Olivia for being here. And tune in for the next podcast. We'll see you then.
Cheers. Let's go.